Glad you could join the Q&A today with Innovators and hashtag Black STEAM. I'm Gerard. Let's get inspired. Welcome, everybody. My name is Gerard Buckner with the Mortgage Institute for Research as part of the outreach team in the Discovery Building. Today, we'll be having a wonderful conversation with Leslie, someone newer to campus and who has dealt with nothing but COVID to campus. So welcome, Leslie. I really appreciate you taking the time out to have this conversation with us and just highlight the things that you do on campus. And yeah, as we talk about Black history, this is just perfect. So I'm really excited for this. For the audience at home, as we are having our conversation and talking, if you guys would like to add to the conversation with any questions or anything like that, please feel free to use the hashtag Black STEAM Innovators. Be sure to use that on any social media platform, and we'll be sure to check it. And if there's any questions, we'll be sure to answer those questions and hopefully connect you with Leslie if that's what you would like to do, because I'm pretty sure that's the most interesting person talking today. And yeah, so with that, Leslie, would you like to introduce yourself, and then we'll dive into the conversation.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Leslie Holland. I'm an assistant professor and extension specialist in fruit crop pathology here at UW-Madison, which is a really fancy way to say that I'm a plant doctor.
Awesome. Thank you. So like I mentioned before, Leslie came into UW not even, I guess, mid-pandemic, just the pandemic. We'll just say that. So would you explain, like, where are you from and, like, just how'd you get connected with UW?
Absolutely. So I originally grew up in Ohio, and then from there I did most of my college and graduate work out west. So I got to escape from the harsh winters of the Midwest and enjoy a little life on the West Coast for a bit. So I did my master's at Washington State University and then my PhD at UC Davis. And I've always been interested in UW-Madison. In fact, I did an internship here when I was an undergraduate student, where I actually got into the field that I study now. So getting the position here has really been full circle to come back and work at this university.
Awesome. Well, welcome back. I'm guessing you just can't stay away from the snow. So
well, yeah.
So
mixed feelings.
So yeah, since you basically come back to campus and started working like in the pandemic, like not even a chance to meet students and stuff like that, like how are you being affected work-wise and I guess even personally due to the pandemic?
No, that's a great question. It's definitely been tough. I mean, moving across the country in the middle of a pandemic and starting a position has definitely come with some challenges. I think the biggest one, like you mentioned, is not being able to connect with a lot of people starting to work because of social distancing, or a lot of people are working from home. So I've been coming into my office and into my lab as frequently as I can to just get familiar with the space and start kind of making it my own and starting my program. But I think, that feeling of not being able to socialize and have those hallway conversations and meet new students has definitely been tricky. Personally, I want to get to explore Madison more. And so that's kind of been difficult with the pandemic as well. But I'm feeling optimistic for this year and really excited to let the lakes fall and maybe enjoy some time near the lake this summer.
Yeah. Well, since it's so cold, you can take the opportunity to go ice skate on at Tenney Park. That's one of the favorites here in Madison.
Okay, that's good to know.
So what is your research? You kind of already talked about it, but like, what does that entail and what do you do, or what does your students do, and so on and so forth?
Absolutely. So my research is focused on diseases of fruit crops. And so that's really broad because there's a lot of fruit crops in Wisconsin. To name a few, cranberries is actually the number one fruit crop in Wisconsin. We grow a little over 60% of the US production here in Wisconsin. We also grow apples and grapes, other berry crops. And so all of these crops are, while unique, they're the same in the sense that they all get diseases, just like humans do. So there's fungal diseases, bacterial diseases, viral diseases, and my job, my lab, is to diagnose what's going on with plants and also to help manage what's going on in terms of disease. So we're I always think of it as like the game of Clue, right? You're presented with this plant and it's died or it's not looking too good, and you have to then figure out what happened to it. So it's kind of a mystery and very much in problem solving, which I really enjoy.
That's awesome. It makes you think about Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah.
So with that, are you guys just like kind of just searching what plants kind of die in Wisconsin area, or are you connecting with farmers? Like, how do you come across your work?
Excellent question. So yeah, absolutely. Everything is connected through the growers in the state. And so we work with the different, whether it's a cranberry grower or a grape grower or an apple grower, they usually reach out to us if the plants aren't looking too happy. And we can go out to the field and investigate, just kind of walking through an orchard, or we can have samples sent to our lab. And in the lab, we're actually able to take the samples and process them to determine what kind of pathogenic agent caused their demise.
Okay, cool, cool. And so out of the all this, or well, I guess what was your kind of past in college for you to kind of figure out like that you wanted to study plants, or was this a high school thing? Was it going back to middle school?
You know, it's definitely, I think for me, it probably didn't start until college. And I think about my college years and I think about if there was an award for the number of times you could change your major, I probably would have received that award. Yes, I was incredibly indecisive. But you know what? I think that was good for me because it allowed me to figure out what I wanted and didn't want. So for college is when it started for me. I was really into plants and I thought that they were really cool. Never would have thought I could have had a job, no less a career studying them. And then the more classes I took, the more I realized like, wow, this is incredible. And like, this is a whole world that I was being introduced to. And then one thing led to another, studying horticulture and then learning that plants also got sick. I was like, wow, this is definitely what I want to do. And I started out thinking I wanted to go into medicine when I started college, and then I not to go with blood. So and plants don't bleed. So I figured who better than me to be a plant doctor.
Right,
So
I was gonna say you're basically doing medicine.
yeah.
Does this mean that you like pick the freshest crops when you go to the grocery store?
Oh my goodness. Sometimes I'm that person. It depends, I think, probably on the produce. Other times I am totally fine to get the, less desirable looking fruit because I know that it's okay to eat. So yeah, it's a tricky one though.
Do you have the solution on how to pick the perfect watermelon?
Oh goodness. No, I just had this conversation about, I think it was honeydews last week and selecting them. No, I don't have the solution. I think you're right. You're supposed to feel if it's kind of like a little bit soft near where the stem was.
Yeah,
So, but
yeah. I was just
advice.
thinking because my mom used to tell me to thump it, and I just thought that was just old school ways. So I was wondering if that's still the case.
It probably still works.
So I mean, this is the first time I've ever had a conversation with one a plant doctor and two somebody being black in the plant doctor. So like for you, I mean, how were you experienced around a lot of other people of color that was in this field? And if not, what for you, what does it mean to be black within this field?
Absolutely. No, to be honest with you, I did not see a lot of other faces that look like mine through most chapters of my journey, to get to where I am today. And I think it's at that time, it's a little bit, you kind of question if it's something you can do because you don't see someone that looks like you doing it. But I think for me, I kind of held on because I knew that that's what I love to do and it just made sense to me. So I kind of, pushed through it that way. And I've always had really good mentors, I think, behind me to just support me and tell me that I can't do it. And I think for me now, in the position that I'm in, being Black in this field feels really exciting and feels like a really important opportunity for me to help create a path, support a path for future students and scholars and professionals to pursue this as well and to see a familiar face. I think it gets back to the idea of representation
Yeah,
and how valuable that is.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love it, and the fact that we've been able to take the series and connect with people on campus. It's been amazing because even for the first time for the students that may see this, it's this my first time also to meet you and be able to see the representation and how it's changing on campus. So again, welcome, and it's been amazing to see this process, and I can't wait to work with you in the future. So you kind of already talked about it before, but I wanted to know, like, what was your breakdown of school? Like, where did you start off your undergrad and move from there? You talked about being in all these different states, but what specifically what schools were you in?
Absolutely. So I actually started college, like a small fact of my life. I started college in Ohio where I grew up. And then I ended up transferring out to New Mexico, and I went to New Mexico State University in Las Cruces. So that's southern New Mexico. It's very hot there, summer every day, which sounds, I think, a lot nicer than the reality is. Every time you get into your car, it's way too hot.
Yeah.
But I did my undergraduate there, and I studied biology, and I focused kind of in the plant sciences. And I actually did some research there. I was really fortunate to participate in several research programs targeted at minority students that allowed me to conduct research as an undergraduate and also get paid to do some research. So that was tremendous to me, and that opened my eyes to graduate school. I didn't know there was anything beyond college. I just thought college was the degree you got, and that was it. You get a job. And then these programs really set me up for success and helped me move on to grad school. They taught me how to apply for grad school, like everything I needed, because I had no idea. And so then I moved to Washington State, and I did my master's there, and I studied grapevine trunk diseases, which are caused by fungi, and they actually invade the woody parts of the grapevine, right? So most people were concerned about the grapes and maybe the leaves, but I was concerned about the woody tissue because that can also get infected and be really detrimental to the plant. And then I moved to California, and I studied a very similar system in almond trees. So same kind of type of fungal pathogens, but just a different crop. So yeah, it's been quite a fun journey.
That sounds fun. That sounds better than just a vacation.
And I really, that's the thing I think I love about my field and my position specifically is I get to have a nice split between being in the field and being outdoors, which I love, but also I can be in the lab too. So it's nice. I feel like I get the best of both worlds. I can spend a day in an orchard and I can spend a day in the lab. So I like the versatility for me because I think I need that, excitement in my science.
Earlier you had mentioned that you were thinking about going into medicine, and then you found your way within with plants. And I just wanted to know, like, from either high school or as elementary or middle school, like, when did you really see yourself being focused in on STEM? Like, what got you excited about it, and what gave you that confidence to stay within it? Because obviously we think about STEM being such a tough major.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's intimidating. In high school, well, I think it was more like deductive reasoning for me at that point. I wasn't great at math. So I think I always liked writing and I always liked biology. And when I started in high school, I went to a very small high school. I had a biology teacher who I thought the world of. And every class, every assignment, I really, really enjoyed biology. And she was actually a Black woman, and she encouraged me to pursue this in college if this was something I was interested in. And I felt always had my back throughout high school. I actually remember spending time in her classroom when I did not have class with her. So she was a really big inspiration for me and encouraging me to pursue this in college. So, and I think I've always been, since a kid, I've always liked the outdoors. And I think I've always just had a fascination with some aspect of science. I remember doing a project as a kid looking at earthworms, which I would not probably touch now, but at the time was something I was really interested in. So I think I've always had a weird curiosity within biology, and that's just kind of grown into my job today.
And then would you say like the representation that you were able to experience helped push you a little bit more?
Yes, 100%. Having representation, having that teacher in high school, seeing that, reaffirming that every day that this was something that she got to teach and that we all enjoyed, that was huge for me. And it makes me excited to think about that. I hope I can provide that for students now. I hope I bring everybody over to plant pathology wanting to study different pathogens and, the next generation of plant doctors. I hope to do that.
Well, I have a bunch of high school, middle school, and elementary kids you can definitely inspire.
Good. Yes.
That's gotta be awesome. For someone you might have inspired today, what advice would you have for them?
Oh man, lots of advice. But I think maybe two things I can think of that have helped me get to where I am. And I would say the first is don't be afraid to ask for help or guidance. I think I've spent a lot of time, suffering in silence because I was too afraid to ask something, or I thought my question was silly or whatever. And I found the times when I have asked for guidance or help, I get it, and it's tremendously helpful. It probably shortens my time to actually solve the problem I was looking to solve. And most people I found are really excited to share what they've learned, especially scientists. And so I think kind of getting over that fear of, maybe sounding not smart or something and asking for the help you need is key. I think the other piece of advice I would say is to kind of wear your enthusiasm or your passion on your sleeve, because that reads to a lot of people. And I think showing your excitement about what you love and what you want to do is going to help you pursue and get further in that. And people remember that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Today that was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your time and working with us and answering these questions. Even though, probably hard to answer with where you've just been sitting in your office or at home. But yeah, we definitely, from the Discovery Building, we definitely hope to connect with you in the future and think about creating some programming. I think it would be awesome for students to get more involved, especially in food. We talk a lot about food scarcity, especially in a lot of underrepresented neighborhoods. So I think kind of learning how to best pick your own food or grow your own food and things of that nature would be vital for students to be able to learn from. And you seem like an awesome leader and somebody really fun to listen to and work with. So I'm excited for that. For the audience at home, again, thank you for joining in and listening to this conversation. If there is anything you would like to add, please feel free to jump on to social media and use the hashtag #BlackSTEAMInnovators, and we will be sure to connect with you. Outside of that, Leslie, did you have anything else for us today?
I don't think so. It's great chatting with you.
Yeah, great chatting with you as well. All right. Well, with that being said, thank you everybody for joining again, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you.